Well, today we're actually baking quote-unquote sour cherry crumb cakes.
Yeah.
They're going to be sweet cherry crumb cakes today. So let me go through the list of ingredients. And it has two sets of ingredients list today because we have a top part and then we have a cake part. So we're going to start with the topping ingredients. So for the topping ingredients, we've got 2 ounces of butter, unsalted. We're going to use salted because, you know, umami people. Well, this guy's sweet, but he likes a little bit of salt, don't you, Carl? A little bit of salt.
Yeah.
All right, 3/4 of a cup of all-purpose flour, so whatever you've got in your cupboard. A 1/4 cup of granulated sugar today.
Good.
A 1/4 cup of packed. We're going to use dark brown sugar today. If you want to use a light brown sugar, you certainly can. A 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And then a 1/4 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. And that is our topping. And we're gonna start off with the topping first and then set it aside. Carl, do you wanna tell them what they need for the actual cake?
Okay, you're gonna need some refreshing buttermilk. We're gonna drink some of that later.
Refreshing is one way to put it.
I wish they sold smaller sizes.
I prefer acrid, but you know what? Whatever works for you.
So 1.5 cups all-purpose flour again. Teaspoon of baking powder, a little bit of salt.
Yep.
1/4 teaspoon. 4 ounces of butter, more butter.
Yep.
3/4 cup granulated sugar, 2
Yep.
eggs, vanilla, which we found,
Yes.
and our cherries, 2.5 cups.
2.5 cups of
They
cherries.
called for fresh sour cherries,
Which we don't have.
pitted or frozen dark sweet cherries.
We're using dark sweet cherries, but they are not frozen nor pitted. But we've got a trick for that today that we will bring up in our new section, which we are putting into our
hot tips.
Our hot tips section. So we'll get to that when we get to the hot tip section. I'm excited. Setting that aside.
Are we doing our tip?
We're gonna do our tip after.
After.
So what we're gonna do first is we're gonna start out with buttering the pan, Carl.
Okay.
So I'm gonna get you to get going. So we're using, again, a metal pan. If you want to, you can certainly like put this part aside and then just line your pan with wax paper. We're gonna butter the pan and then lightly dust it with flour first. So Carl, I'm gonna let you get started on that while I get started on the rest of it. So first thing I need is 4 tablespoons of unsalted or salted butter. I'm gonna use salted butter because that's me. So can I get 4 tablespoons out of there, Carl? What do you think? So I'm using my really handy dandy amazing white spoons. I love these ones. Again, they're those fabulous ones that have like the micro measurements.
And you can't lose them.
You can't lose them because they're all stuck together, which is key for me or anybody else who's a little bit absent-minded. I don't know if I have any absent-minded people in my crew today, but honestly, this thing is great. All right, so I'm going to get
absent-minded. I'd say distracted.
Distracted is good. Carl is always so kind. I love that about you, Carl.
Okay,
all right.
So we're buttered up.
We're buttered up. So I'm getting my 4 tablespoons here. So I'm going to put 1 tablespoon. I'm going to be pretty generous. Again, I'm using my finger. You can use a knife to really get it out. We are very hands-on people here, so we're just making it work.
I left you a smiley face.
You left me a smiley face. There's nothing like keeping it light in the kitchen, friends. Carl left us a smiley face in the butter. I don't know if you can see it, but here we are. Work of art. All right. Next thing we're going to do is just continue to get this butter out. Again, you know me with my butter and my sizing and my portions. I'm just using my finger to scrape it off. 2 tablespoons. I think, Carl, I'm pretty much going to have enough here. 3 tablespoons and 4. And then we can put it back onto the heat because we need to soften it up. And then for the rest of the recipe, for the actual cake, we're going to have to actually cream the butter for the cake. So we might even cheat and use the microwave. Can you, sorry.
You want me to eat it?
No, don't eat it. Bad for your heart. If you're gonna eat it, you gotta eat it in with sugar.
There's more butter than that in what we're making.
Oh, there's tons, but you're not gonna eat it all right away. All right, now I need 3/4 of a cup of flour. So Carl, you wanna get me 3/4 of a cup? So let's use our beautiful cups here. Here is 3/4 of a cup. Now with flour, again, I know we were talking about this before. It's great to sift your flour in recipes because this is a crumble. We're not gonna worry about sifting it. We're just gonna make sure that it's packed and leveled, just so that it's the right amount. While he's doing that, I'm also gonna grab a 1/4 cup of granulated sugar. So I'll just rip this open. That's awesome, Carl.
Pour it in here?
Pour it in there, go for it. No. All right, so I'm gonna do this. I am kidding, yes I am. No, I'm gonna get my 1/4 cup of sugar first. So I'm gonna get my sugar. I am gonna put my 1/4 cup, should we put the camera on this, Carl? I think we should.
Let's do that.
So let's do that. I'm gonna put my 1/4 cup of sugar here. If you can see that there, so it's right in there. Now I'm gonna get a 1/4 cup of packed I'm gonna use dark brown sugar. Recipe calls for light brown. Carl was like, we should get the light brown, but then I said, can we use the dark brown? Because I love the taste of the molasses.
Yeah, it is molasses.
Delicious.
Our
dark
last
brown
one turned
flavor.
into a rock, so we
It
had
did.
to buy a new one.
Now, we know the tip about putting apples into brown sugar to bring it back. Are there any other tips to bring back brown sugar that's gotten hard? Does anybody know?
Just slice of bread in.
A
And
slice
the
of
bread
bread?
absorbs, it will soften and the bread gets hard.
Amazing.
A slice or half a slice of any bread.
I was gonna hit it with a hammer.
He was hitting it with a hammer. Full disclosure, he was whacking it. I was
She said, "Are you okay? What's happening?"
came out, I was like, Carl, have you had a break? That's okay.
I just don't like sugar.
No, here we go.
I'm angry.
He's angry. He does love sugar. All right, I'm just gonna open this a little bit more so I can get it out.
I
here.
wish I had scissors.
No, it's all good, my friend.
Scissors and a normal sized cooking knife we could really use.
A normal sized cooking knife would be fab. All right, I'm gonna pack this down so you can see this is me just shoving it in there. It's okay if you go a little bit over.
Oh yeah.
It's not really
Add a lot.
a thing that, yes, of course. I'm working with Carl today, so I'm gonna be adding a lot of sweet stuff in there because that's his jam. And then I need a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. So I am gonna find that white teaspoon again.
Oh.
Carl, you have to bring it back for me. And then cinnamon, of course.
Get to these fancy weird ones.
Ooh, fancy weird ones. I'm always into fancy. That sounds like me. I'm a fancy
It's
weird
like a
one.
built-in knife at the end.
Yeah, I don't know. Carl thinks this has a, well, kind of. Yeah, it is a built-in knife, Carl. Wow, I thought you were kidding, but he's not kidding. Look at
That's
that.
for cooking in prison.
Cooking in prison.
Oh,
Well, you know what?
that's
This
bad.
is a show for everyone. So if you're watching this from prison, we love you. All right, here we go. All right, and oops. So I dropped in quite a lot of cinnamon by mistake.
I mean, that's how much extra?
A lot extra, but that's okay. You know what? Do it to your taste. Again, with
You're gonna go
spices.
with it, eh?
We're gonna go with it
Okay.
because we have that really kind of deep, dark flavor of the molassesy dark brown sugar. So that's fine too. Can I give you that?
Yeah,
And then I need a fork.
what were we doing with
So
this
I'm gonna,
flour?
so with the flour, it's gonna go in a minute. So what you can do is if you have cold butter, you can cut it with 2 knives. Again, we've warmed this butter up because it's a lot easier for me. I find to just use warm butter in this case. Thank you, Mr. Carl. All right, so what I'm gonna do is just start creaming this around here. So I'm gonna start with just this stuff first and get it all together, and then I'm gonna add my flour in at the end. Now you're gonna notice that it's a bit of a messy job.
Yeah.
It is always gonna be a messy job when you're doing stuff like this, and that's okay. So we're cutting that together here and just mixing it around. So, oops. This is the time where you wish you had a big bowl. And I always recommend using a bigger bowl if you've got one. The reason why I haven't used a bigger bowl today is because we're doing this like we were in a regular kitchen and like we didn't have dozens of bowls.
Yeah.
So we're trying to make it as though, you know, you're at home doing this in your kitchen and maybe you don't have a lot of bowls in the kitchen, so you're just using a soup bowl.
Take some time.
It does. Yeah, but it's very therapeutic. I have to tell you, this kind of thing is therapeutic if you're stressed or you're not in the mood and you don't feel like exercising, which is what I do to release my stress. You can come to the kitchen and bash out some nice granola topping.
Or squeeze lemons like last week.
Oh yeah, squeezing lemons too. Yeah, as long as you don't have cuts on your hand.
Yeah, that was a good show. That was our most views of any show. I put it up on the YouTube, the fruit salad battle.
Oh yeah, that was good.
That
All
set
right,
a
so-
new bar for us.
A new bar. All right, so going here in a circle, friends, we're just cutting this through.
Looking good.
Yeah, this is looking pretty great. So you can see it's coming together, it's sticking together, and now we're ready to add the flour. So let's put that in there. Carl, do you want to maybe shake the flour in a little bit at a time?
Yep.
So
This is our base, right?
yeah, this is our
Crust?
base. This is our actually our topping. It's our crumble topping. Yeah.
Always.
Yep. So we're gonna do a little bit at a time and just kind of get it in there. For those of you who do this regularly, you know that this again is a bit of a time-consuming process.
Sure.
A bit of a chore, but we like a chore.
So you wouldn't add water or anything?
No,
to
I
help
wouldn't.
this along?
No,
You
if I
just-
was gonna help it along, I'd add more butter.
I see.
Yeah, because you need the shortness. So it's like shortbread where it's all nice and crumbly and delicious. The more butter, the better.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, sounds great. Go for it. Add some more, my dear. Yeah.
I don't know if you have enough room.
I know, that's what I was thinking too, but I think if we cut it in carefully, it'll be all right.
And they wanted this dusted?
They did want that dusted.
Okay, let me just.
Yeah. There you
some
go, yeah.
Magic on there.
Making magic on the magic face. Hey, Carl. There we go. So cutting this through again. I'm ready for some more when you're ready. Yep. Awesome. How many people make crumbles regularly around here? Any of you make crumbles?
I do.
You do? And what's your favorite kind of crumble to eat?
Rhubarb.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
I would love to try
Yep,
your
me
rhubarb
too.
crumble sometime.
that's a good one.
Yeah?
And rhubarb just grows and grows and grows.
Oh, it's so delicious and so sour and amazing. Who else said me too? I heard someone say me too.
Me too.
Yeah, what do you usually make? You make rhubarb as well or something different?
I use apple and rhubarb. Anything that's in season that I've got.
Amazing.
So we're doing need more flour, hey?
Yep, I'm ready for the next one. You can see it's starting to get more and more crumbly the more that
was
we
it,
add.
yeah.
And there we are.
We lost a little bit.
Lost a little bit. All right, so we're going to continue to cut this through.
Yep.
I know a lot of people do use food processors, and that's super fast.
We could use our big mixer, no?
Didn't think about the big mixer. I'm not sure if you can use it for this one. Maybe you can. I know you can for creaming the butter and stuff for the actual cake.
We gotta try it.
We do. We got this mixer. So with our funding this year, for this program, we actually got a mixer to help us, like when people are in the club, so that we can cook together, because we know it's something that we would use a lot of. And sometimes people find that it's hard to do by hand when your hands are sore or tired. So we got that. So we'll have to demonstrate it on the show sometime.
We were gonna do bread, right?
We
Oh, you
were
did
gonna-
that from home.
I ended up doing it from
remember.
home because I hurt myself. Remember, I was off for so long. That's okay. Talk about clumsy.
And Hooky from work.
Cookie, cookie for a cookie. Not really, I don't know. Here we are. All right, so you can see that this is fairly crumbly.
And that just hardens on top?
Yeah, it'll just get nice and crunchy on the top. It'll be super yum.
Interesting.
There we go. You want to taste it, Carl? There's no raw eggs in it.
I can wait.
He can wait. He can
I can
wait. All right, so I'm going to set it aside. Here's the end product, so we can take a little look.
So that's a good consistency.
It's a great consistency.
Becca, do you have cinnamon in that now?
I do. I accidentally dunked in a lot extra because I look at the size of the holes on top. I was like, yeah, a quarter teaspoon of cinnamon. And then it turned out to be like 3 tablespoons. So we'll see how that goes.
So, should I get started on these?
We can. All right. So it's time now. We're going to set this aside, bring them forward.
Or hot tip of the week.
It is time now for our hot tip segment. And our hot tip segment is actually a pro tip from Becca and Carl that we've discovered works really, really well. Cherries. So this week it's how to pit a cherry. Now, you at home, probably all of you have your own unique ways to pit cherries, and you've probably got a cherry pitter, that little one that goes between the finger and thumb. But yes, exactly. But if you are at home and you're at someone else's house and they don't have a way to pit cherries, and you're suddenly like, oh my gosh, I need to pit a bunch of cherries because you've just decided to make something.
It happens.
It happens. What you can do is go to the kitchen drawer and find a straw. So we have a straw here. You take your cherry, insert your cherry into the top of the straw, holding it firmly between 2 fingers, and then we're going to just push
Whoa.
straight through.
You killed him.
And I killed him. But the pit is out. So you can see, there's my pit,
Oh,
there's my cherry, all good. Now this can be a little bit time consuming. But at the same time, Carl, you try it. Carl's never tried this before, and we need 2.5 cups of
I'm
these.
gonna shoot the pit at you.
You're gonna shoot the pit at me with the straw. You could actually blow it out the end at someone, like a blow dart, I guess, if you really wanted to.
It does punch them right out.
It does, and look at that, look how quickly. So we need 2.5 cups of these, so I'm gonna get Carl going on this while I move on to the rest of the recipe.
Looks like a crime scene.
It does look like a crime scene. Here,
boy.
Carl. Yeah. I'm gonna let him continue. Let me get you another thing to put the
pits?
pits in. Hang on.
This
It's
is,
the pits.
this is the pits. I knew that
It's the
joke
pits.
was coming.
All right. And that's our hot tip for the week. Has anybody ever heard of that one or tried it before?
No, that's great.
Yeah.
MacGyver. All right.
That's great. Thank you. I have a metal straw. I'll try it with that.
Yeah.
Amazing. I think metal would work even better, Ronnie.
Because I've got all these cherries and with pits. So thank you so much. It's great.
hope
Anytime.
it
I'm
works.
glad.
Working well.
Yeah, excellent. All right, so while that's going, I'm gonna bring out the cake section. So for the first thing I need is 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour.
Okay.
I'm gonna reach over past you, Carl. I hope
You
you can
wanna-
forgive me.
Cold glass of buttermilk or what?
Oh yeah, of course I do. Let's just dump that down.
My dad drinks buttermilk.
Does anybody else like to actually just drink buttermilk? Is that a
I
thing?
think it's just my dad.
No. You.
He doesn't do it anymore, but I remember he loved buttermilk.
Yeah, hey, listen, there's lots of things. You know what I love that other people don't love, Carl? Black licorice. I love black
It's a love
licorice.
hate.
Oh.
It's a love hate. It's like cilantro.
I love it so much. Cilantro. I also love cilantro. That's a thing for
No
me.
way. It tastes like soap.
Oh, come on. You know what tastes like soap is lavender. If you use too much of it, can taste like soap. Or rose can taste like soap.
Yeah?
Any of those like really florally flavors, you just have to be careful when you're balancing. To me, that's what tastes like soap. But cilantro tastes like awesome
I
to
got
me.
this straw full of cherry.
Yeah.
Poured cherry. I'm gonna drink
You're
it.
gonna start. No, you shouldn't start spitting it at people. Anybody that you don't like, we'll invite them into the room right now.
Wait a minute. Are my hands ever gonna come clean?
Probably not, Carl. It's kind of like the pomegranate issue. I love fresh pomegranate, but it's the same thing. I get it all over myself. It looks like a crime scene. I go out after, people are like, what happened to
It's
you
a
in your
lot of
life
work.
that you've got this all over your face? It's like,
It's a
what?
lot of work.
It is a lot of work. It is a lot of work, but it's awesome.
Yeah, they're my favorite.
All right. So the next thing I'm going to do, baking powder. So I've got my 1 teaspoon of baking powder coming this way.
There.
Here we are, beauty. And my teaspoon went, where's my knife teaspoon? My prism teaspoon.
Oh, I hide it from you.
He hit it. We're not in competition anymore, but he's still in that mindset, you know, where he has to hide everything, making it harder. He is.
That's true.
Hey, where are you? Well, he's coming, taking his time.
Drying it off
Oh,
for you.
aren't you sweet?
Okay, nothing will stick.
Sweet as a cherry.
Go.
Oh, man.
That's a half.
Yeah, that's a half. Thank you, my dear. So in it
What are
goes.
we showing? Me?
Yeah, maybe you can show this. You can show both, maybe.
Oh, mine is disgusting.
Yours is disgusting. This is a horror movie. This is like, yeah, watching Friday the 13th, except with cherries.
Flowers
Cherries.
behind you there.
Awesome, thank you.
Let me try
Okay,
this
a
little cherry
quarter
sauce.
teaspoon of salt. Again,
Oh.
I'm gonna just,
It
you see,
works.
you don't do it this way because you're also putting some in, but I'll just put less in the spoon and then dump some in that way. There we go. Then I need, all right, so the next thing I need to do is just whisk this together. So I'm gonna use my spoon and I'm just gonna mix that together so that's well mixed. You can also, again, if you're a pro baker, you can totally sift this and that would be great, just to make sure that it's fully mixed. I know many of you already know all of the rules about baking and being careful with your ingredients. The reason why I actually sift it around now is that when I'm mixing later, I don't want to overmix the batter. So I'm sifting it around now before I have a chance to overwork it when it's got all the wet ingredients in it, which is why I'm doing what I'm doing.
So are we gonna grind these cherries up, or what do we do? They just go in whole?
They're gonna go in, we're gonna chop them.
I see.
We're gonna chop them just a little bit.
Or you could use a food processor.
You could
I'm
use the
sure,
food
yeah.
processor. If you've got a food processor, awesome, use the food processor. We're gonna chop them up.
Yeah.
Because we are old school,
It's gonna look
making it as
crazy
though
in here.
we don't have really fancy equipment, which is important because if you're sitting at home in pandemic, who knows what's working, what's not working in the kitchen, what you've had time to get out and get, right? So the next thing I'm gonna do is I have to actually cream in the butter and the sugar in another bowl. So
Ooh.
I need another bowl yet again. So
Another
this is a
bowl.
really big bowl recipe. Now, again, we don't have a big bowl, so I'm gonna use a little bowl. I'm gonna get my little bowl out of here. So again, if you've got a lot of soup bowls in your kitchen, this is the recipe for you. All right, so I'm gonna grab my butter now. I'm gonna go ahead. So I need, how much butter do I need? 4 ounces, 1 stick.
I think that's about a stick, but it's a real mess.
That is
You
a
got
real
in there.
mess, kiddo. All right, so I think what I'm gonna do is add this and then add a little bit more. So look at me, this looks terrible. Honestly, mushing it
This is
into
our
the
messiest
dish.
show
This is our
yet.
messiest show yet.
Oh
This is
my
the show
gosh.
that you can do with anyone who has never baked before, and it's great. Again, I'm a super tactile person who just likes to touch everything and get all mushy and stuff. If that's not you, use your butter measurer on the side of your butter, which is, where is that other butter? It's over there? I think I need a bit more.
It's called for 1 stick, which is 4
Yeah.
ounces, the little sticks.
Yeah, so I'd like to put just a little bit more there.
Why not?
Because you know me and butter. Oh, here's our garbage can. Excellent. So you can actually just look on the side, and here you go. 60 milliliters or a quarter cup of butter is about what it calls for. So we're gonna go ahead
How many
and,
cherries do you think that is? One or
well,
two?
you need to measure. You know what, that looks like maybe 2. Let's measure them out. You need 2.5 cups. So I'm gonna go ahead and use a knife, which I'm going to get from the drawer. Here we go.
Let's see, that's a cup. So maybe a few more.
Maybe a few more. All right, we can't fail really to use our big knife. Our big knife's always a theme, so we're gonna bring him out. We bring him out every show. So here he is, bringing him out. I'm gonna use just a bit more butter, not the full quarter cup. I'm just gonna maybe half that, a little bit more. There we are. I've cut it. It cuts so nice and smoothly. Put it right in there. All right. So that needs to be creamed. Because I'm not going to sit here and fight with it on camera, what I'm gonna do is actually just stick it in here for about 10 seconds to make it a little bit easier. And that's another trick that all of you I'm sure know, is just to warm up your butter a little bit in the microwave.
You had a good idea leaving it on the stove.
Yeah, you can also
That
leave
was
it on the
preheating,
stove.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we would just need more time.
We do need more time, that's the thing. So I'm gonna set this butter aside. Thanks, Carl. That was really nice call out there.
Hey.
Aren't you an angel? All right, so
Hot tip.
hot tip again. All right, that's our hot tip for next time. So just softening this up just for a couple of seconds in here. Now I don't want it melted, so I'm gonna pull it out pretty quickly. Now let me take this. There we are. Yeah, this is fine. So there, that's pretty creamy. You can see that's about the consistency when you've creamed something that you want it to look. Again, most people are aware of this, but here's your creamy texture.
Not melted.
Not melted. I mean, if it melts, it's not the end of the world, but it's better for the texture not to have it melted. So now the next thing I'm gonna do is also put in the sugar. So I need 3/4 cup of granulated sugar. That's okay, you do. Come show them your hands, Carl. They need to see this. Don't just wash it away. He looks like a murderer. All right. So 3/4 cup of, he's hiding the evidence over there.
Yeah.
Don't tell anyone. I'm gonna go ahead and put in my 3/4 cups of sugar here. There we are. So I've just dumped that right in there. Then I'm gonna go ahead.
Chopping?
Yeah, you can start chopping right away. So this is supposed to come out looking pale and fluffy. Again, if you're using a machine, it's gonna look pale and fluffy in a different way than this. So right now this is pretty granulated. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna beat it fairly vigorously with my fork. Does anybody here still do their creaming by hand, or most people are using the machine at this point, or their, you can also use a hand mixer if you've got one.
Oh, those are great.
Love a hand mixer. Does everybody have a hand mixer?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Amaze. So
You guys
again,
are all pros.
Yes, I do.
professional bakers,
Yeah.
100% professionals. All right, so this is happening here. I'm just gonna continue to cream that up. So it's supposed to look quite smooth and,
I think I can show both.
oh yeah, show both, Carl, go ahead. Carl wants you to see how bloody,
Oh, it's a mess.
look at this.
It looks terrible.
Doesn't that look like a crime scene? Looks like Carl's been doing something really bad. So I'm still going here. Carl's chopping up those cherries into a manageable size. What did
Finished
you?
watching Breaking Bad too.
Oh, did you finish watching Breaking Bad?
Speaking of crime scenes.
Yeah. We need the full hazmat suits for that. All right, here we go. Going this way.
That looks great.
Yes.
And you're getting all your stress out.
Getting all your stress out, working really hard.
So how chopped are you thinking for these
I
guys?
think that looks pretty good, Carl. We don't need them tiny, tiny chopped, but just enough that they kind of are able to fold in into nice distributable pieces. Now, if you were baking this in a machine, you'd want it a little bit more, like you get that really smooth, glossy look when you've really creamed your butter properly. So this is getting there. This is not there yet, but we are getting there. I'm just gonna give it a bit more.
Whoa.
Yeah, gonna go a little tornado on this butter. Sorry about the sound effects. Here we are. Tornado style.
I can't believe it. Ow.
Oh, don't cut your finger off, Carl. We won't know what's finger and what's cherry. Gross.
Is that what you want to remember? It just, you know when it kind of hits your nail and you get that like, whoop.
Yeah, I know, a little too close, and then you can't tell because it's all bloody and red on the board, and you're like, oh, everything's fine.
This
Oh,
turned
no,
into
it's not.
Halloween episode.
Oh, no. All right, yeah, we'll save this one for October next year. All right, here we go. All right, so this is looking good. That's okay. Like, I would honestly prefer it a little bit glossier, but I think that's all right. Carl, do you think that looks smooth and glossy enough?
Looks beautiful.
Looks good to
Yeah.
you? Looks good to you, folks? We're
It's
okay?
almost like cream cheese, like you would do
Yeah.
for
Butter
a
gets
cake,
pretty
yeah.
fluffy, yeah. So there we go. So that's all nice and mixed. The next thing we're gonna do after that is we're gonna beat in the eggs
Yep.
and the vanilla. So I need to pull out my eggs. I need 2 eggs, I believe. Yep, 2 large
You
eggs.
got 'em?
I've got them. So generally speaking, we like to break eggs into a separate bowl. I am gonna use this today because this is what's here. Actually, I'll use the cup.
Yeah.
It's a little deeper. So the reason why we do it that way is to make sure that if it has a blood spot or something kind of unsavory in
Have
it,
you
we
ever
can
got a
remove
weird
it.
egg? I never got a weird egg.
Oh, I've gotten
been
weird
lucky,
eggs
yeah.
in my time.
I've heard they can have 2. You
2,
can buy
yeah, double yolks.
They even sell them now. A
Yeah.
whole thing of double yolk.
Oh, that's
I've
interesting.
seen it. Yeah. I guess they must X-ray them or something.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I've never seen double yolk. Like,
I
I've
don't know.
broken a double yolk before, but I've never seen, like,
So
a
you
whole
got
tray.
that's luck. You're
That
lucky.
is luck, yeah. All right, so that
Clear.
goes in there. Now
Clear.
you'll notice there's a little bit of red. That's not a blood spot. That's from the cherries. Carl had the cherries in there, so don't be alarmed.
That's my thumb.
That's Carl's cherries stuff in there. That is not his thumb or any blood spots. Gross. And then we're gonna go ahead and put the vanilla in. So for the vanilla, I'm actually looking here. I need a teaspoon of vanilla extract. So I'm gonna grab this. I'm gonna grab my teaspoon.
Is
This
that
is a
your
tablespoon.
half?
That's my half teaspoon. So we'll do 2. You're right. Thank you for catching that. So good to have a guy with good eyes on here. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and 1 and 2. There we are. There's our vanilla. Now we are using artificial today.
Extract, yeah.
So we're using artificial. If you're using real vanilla, that tastes even better. Highly recommend, but this was super on sale, which is why we used it, and we highly recommend.
The real one's a bit pricey, eh?
The real ones can get a bit pricey. So we're using affordable ingredients today. So we're going through, and I'm just gonna, okay, so go ahead and beat that in. So I'm gonna take my time again. This is a smaller bowl, so you're not gonna see this happen
Yeah.
immediately. It's gonna take a moment. We'll cream it in there. And it looks a little sketchy right now.
Yeah, lots of bowls.
Well, go get me a bigger bowl.
Okay.
All right, let's, we saw one was here
So many
grabbing. I'm like, Carl, we don't have a bigger bowl. We don't.
Just making life difficult.
I do make life difficult, not
Yeah.
on purpose, but just because.
Yeah.
But again, we were supposed to be showing what it looked like with like small bowls. But that's okay. Look at, okay, so we'll use the big bowl.
All right.
We'll use the big bowl, and
Well,
it
then-
gets.
then
Yeah, you're right,
you
Carl.
can go really crazy.
I will
stirring.
go crazy, and it won't look quite so disgusting on the interim. All right, so putting this in here, I'm just gonna scrape this down. If you have a, what do you call those things that scrape things down, Carl? My brain is not
Spatula?
working. Spatula.
Yeah,
Do you have a
want one?
spatula? Oh, yes, I do. You don't have to get it if you don't feel like it. Yeah, he's such a good egg. All right, so I'm gonna do this. Carl, you're a good egg for sure. All right, I'm gonna beat this around. Here we go. And I'm gonna start to work on this. So you're gonna see it start to come together fairly quickly.
Yeah, it looked like it was separating into vanilla, right?
It's the vanilla that causes the separation, particularly with artificial. Can cause a lot of separation. So I'm gonna go ahead and just whip that in very quickly so that it looks a little bit more uniform. There we are.
Crack that whip.
Crack that whip, that's right.
Let's whip it.
Whip it
Was that
good.
Devo? Yeah, Devo.
Whip it good. All right, here we go. Still going.
Okay.
Turning it around.
The cherry massacre is complete here.
Excellent. All right, so those are ready to go, which is amazing.
Yeah.
This is almost done, so now we're gonna start to probably cream these ingredients together. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get that in. All right, we have to add flour and buttermilk now.
Buttermilk.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna add flour first and then the buttermilk. So we're gonna start by adding it this way. So we're gonna alternate. Carl, do you wanna measure out the buttermilk for me?
Yep.
That would be amazing. Would be awesome. So we're gonna go ahead and do that.
How
So,
much?
all right, so the buttermilk we actually need, oh my goodness.
So why would
A quarter
they
cup.
use, do you know much about milk versus buttermilk? Like,
I don't.
Is it just to make, does anybody know why this is good for baking? Is it flavor? Must be flavor.
I know they use it in sourdough because of the really strong flavor, but I don't know why. Maybe in here they need the sourness to offset the sweetness of the cherries.
Oh, it's a quarter cup, right?
Yeah, a quarter cup, and we're gonna alternate it with the flour. So we're gonna do this
Oh,
first.
that's really not a lot of buttermilk.
No, it's really not that much.
Well, what are we gonna do with the leftover?
Well, you're gonna give it to your dad. That's the plan. So just a little bit, not all of it.
Make buttermilk pancakes.
Oh.
There we go.
Drink it.
The way you can create buttermilk is take milk and then add vinegar to it.
Well, it is actually vinegar.
Look online. There are the simple way to make buttermilk anytime.
I wonder.
Or you could always use yogurt instead of the buttermilk.
It's true.
Plain yogurt.
Yeah.
With the sourness, right?
Okay.
More?
Yep.
Okay.
That's good. Try not to overwork the gluten. It's kind of hard because everything sticks, but we're getting there with this cake. Now I'm going to add in quite a lot of the flour so that we don't have to, whoops, almost took out the camera there. Leave it to me. So we're going to,
how's your arm, buddy?
My arm's going. It's good. My arm's working
Non-stop today.
Non-stop. My right bicep's going to be on point.
A little more?
Sure. And that's good, and then we'll just add the rest of the flour. All right, awesome. So you can see that this is coming together.
Are you sure it's only a quarter?
That's what it says.
Okay.
Quarter cup.
Great.
All right, and then what we're gonna do is put in the rest of the flour. There we are. Beautiful. Get it done here. And now I'm just gonna mix it in. Again, I'm trying to be a little bit more careful now that I'm getting to this last stage because I've already worked the gluten in the flour quite a lot by mixing it earlier, so I'm just gonna be a little more careful now as I bring it together here in the pan or the bowl, whatever you're using. There we are. And you can see that it's now coming together as a dough.
Yeah, it looks doughy.
Looks doughy, huh?
So that is for the bottom.
That is for the bottom. And we're gonna mix the cherries into it.
Okay.
In just a moment. So, all right, so now what we need to do, all right, is beat it until it's combined.
Yeah.
And then, okay, we can put a little bit of the cherries in here. So Carl, you want to go ahead and put a couple cherries in there. Yep. There we go. We're gonna mix that in. Beautiful. So we're gonna go ahead and just get that in, and immediately you're gonna watch the color of this change. So immediately you're gonna see, I'm just folding it in very carefully again,
oh my gosh,
not to overwork.
Looks like...
It does. Oh my gosh, that is a little terrifying.
Yeah.
If you're looking at the side cam and you're just coming into the video, I assure you this is not a murder show. All right, here we go. So we're gonna actually just work it in a little bit more. That looks pretty good, Carl. And then we're gonna go ahead and put it into the dough, no, we're gonna save the rest for the top. Yeah. So, all right. So next we're gonna actually pour it into the pan. So this is gonna be interesting because this is a large pan. And we actually don't have that much of the mixture, so we'll again.
Can we do half for?
Yeah, we'll start.
Really block it off.
We're gonna try to block it off a little bit, Carl. I think you're right. We'll try. So we're gonna put it, because it's
we need more pans. This is like industrial kitchen stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
The thing is, like when you're at home, you just use what you have. We're using what we have in our kitchen today, and that's a-okay.
Sometimes we can double our ingredients, right?
Yeah, sometimes we could. Yeah, maybe next time we will. But for now, this is pretty good. So we're just going to go ahead and get that into the bowl.
Yep.
All right, and kind of get it into a serviceable shape. So I would say for us today, maybe about like that. We want it to kind of be in a square.
Just a corner. Yeah, I see what you're doing.
We're trying to make it into like a bit of a square if we can. It's not going to be perfect, but it'll be okay. So we'll spread it out just a bit more.
Maybe we could have used this guy.
We could have used that guy, but that guy's pretty deep though. Oh, are you all right? Did you burn yourself?
Oh, it was a bit warm from
poor Carl. All right. So I'll press that into the corner there a little bit. That's pretty good, Carl.
I'm supposed to get you a spatula.
That's okay. We're using a fork. Forks are fine.
Forking it up.
Forking it up.
You want some more of this then?
Yeah, you can put that in if you would like. You can maybe put it in more into this corner. That would be great.
Good. Teamwork.
Teamwork.
If you're afraid that it's going to get runny, you could make like an aluminum foil wall.
I was thinking about some kind of
wall. Off your pan.
We have aluminum?
We don't even have foil.
Aww.
It's a plastic wrap, which would end badly, I think.
Do we have the what do you call it? The wax paper still?
Yeah, let's see.
Or maybe parchment might do it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, is parchment. That's a great suggestion.
Let's see what I can rig up.
Awesome. So while Carl's doing that, I'm going to go ahead and this looks like to be in pretty good shape here. So what I'm gonna do is grab some of these cherries, get ready for really red and messy hands. Apologies in advance. Gonna grab these cherries, put them on the top. So we're gonna just distribute them evenly over the top here. You know what else is really red and delicious? Are beets. Is anybody growing beets in their garden this year?
Yep, I am.
Does anybody make pickled beets? Oh, I love them. Here we go. So I'm just gonna press this over the top here while Carl is making our walls that Ronnie has so kindly suggested.
Oil would have been good.
Oil would have been
We'll see what
perfect.
we're doing here.
Yeah, we'll just do our best. Now I'm gonna get the rest of this, get the juicy, juicy cherries. Yeah,
You think that'll work?
oh, why
Just
not?
kinda push it up against
Yeah,
it.
we'll give it a goo. There we are, putting it out. Give it a goo to go with my gooey fingers. Here we go, and I'll get some cherries up in this.
Actually, that
Doesn't it?
works well.
That looks really great, Ronnie. Great suggestion. Thank you so much.
You think that'll hold? Do you want more?
I think it'll be good. Do you think that'll hold for that? Do you think the end maybe?
Oh, good.
Carl's
Some
gonna MacGyver
repair
this.
work,
He
yeah.
knows what he's doing.
Repair the wall.
Repair it. All right. So there we go. We've got the cherries on. I'm gonna let Carl just finish the repair
That's
here.
it?
Yeah.
I feel like we missed a step. No?
No, that's it, my darling.
Do you want more
That's it.
cherries or?
Yep. So the
Okay.
next thing we're gonna do is put our crumble on the top.
Oh my gosh.
So the crumble goes on.
Look
We're
at
just
this.
gonna move it around. The beautiful thing about a good crumble is that it just finishes it off so well. The texture is like awesome. I'm gonna go ahead and put this over into this corner.
So that the key to the crumble is about the lack of moisture, right?
Yeah.
Keeping
yeah.
it more or less dry.
You want it more
Yeah.
dry, and then you want it to be, like I said, very short and crumbly if you can.
So when you say short, sorry, I'm just
Of
the lingo.
course. Yeah, sorry.
Is
So
that butter?
that's butter. That's your fat. You want it to have
Sure.
really nice fat content. You don't want it to be overly buttery, but you want it to be short enough that it's like
This is good looking.
textural and crumbly and delicious.
Now
And
would
here
you
we
would
go.
you pack it down at all or not? You would just
I
leave
would
it?
just leave it just like that. Now, if you want to pack it, we can, but I'm
No,
pretty
no, I
confident with
trust
it
you.
being, yeah.
You're the baker.
Yes, for today I'm the baker. So here we are, and that looks good to me. I don't know, how do you think, folks? What do you think?
Looks delicious.
Looks great,
It's
right?
thick too.
It is very, very thick. So we may
Yeah.
leave it in a little bit longer because I didn't want the base to be super fine. We did build it up today, so it'll be nice and like a stack. We'll probably be able to get 12 at least bars out of this. And the great thing about the recipe is that you can make it in advance, and this will freeze well
Mhm.
because it's cherries. Cherries have good texture. The cake itself isn't like overly like a sponge cake or something, so it will freeze well in the freezer as long as you cut it up and portion it. You can have it right away, or you can save it for later, which is an awesome thing. And what we try to do with these recipes so
Yeah.
that you can save them.
Yeah.
Overall, Carl, this cost, it wasn't too bad today.
The cherries were cheaper than I thought.
The cherries were cheaper because they're in season.
Got us. Not too much today.
The amount of cherries that we used today, so the whole bag together was $9
Yeah.
for the cherries, which is a bit expensive, but we only used a quarter of the bag.
And they leave these open. You can
Yeah, you can take some out
It's
and
probably-
weigh it. So you want 2.5 cups, and 2.5 cups out of that probably would have cost about $4.50 if we had been more careful, but we had to buy the full bag because where we were. But if you're measuring them yourself, you can certainly, you know how it is when you go to the store, you can certainly move stuff around.
But you gotta save some for munching on.
Yes,
While you're
absolutely.
waiting. Right?
All right, so now what we're gonna do is go ahead and put it in the oven. It goes in the oven at 350 degrees.
350.
Now you want it in the oven probably for about 25 to 30 minutes
Yeah.
at the minimum. Keep an eye on it if yours is a little bit thicker, because you can actually, you know, thicken it up or spread it out.
I think we could have gone a bit wider.
We could have gone a little bit wider.
But you
Of
know
course
what?
I didn't. I like a nice
It's
thick.
gonna be great. It's
unctuous square.
Yeah, you won't even be able to get your hand around
You
it.
won't know, you'll just like have it all over your face. It'll be delicious and amazing. So that's what we did. So I'm gonna say for about 25, 30 minutes at 350. Again, it's like, remember how we did with the lava cakes. Keep your eye on it. If your time doesn't work out, dependent, and everybody's oven is different too, and your pan can be different. So many things affect your cooking time.
What's a good indicator to know it's ready?
What's a good indicator? Honestly, when you put your thing down, you take a toothpick and stick it down inside. And when the bottom, you really want to feel for the bottom of the cake.
Okay.
So that's what you're
The
looking
hard-
for.
the hard crust?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so if the bottom is still liquidy, then you keep it in a little bit longer. But if it comes out clean, well, it's not going to come out clean because of the cherries, but
Yeah.
at least the bottom portion is clean, then you know it's all right.
Amazing.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Amazing. This was a good one and pretty easy. It's just
Very
a little bit of prep.
easy.
Yeah, with
Yeah,
the
for
cherries.
sure. But we really appreciate this suggestion from last week. It's always awesome to have your suggestions.
It's a challenge almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I was trying to think of what to make for next week's.
Suggestions.
Because we went fruit salad, so I got to go back to cooking.
So what would you folks like to see next
Yeah.
week? Do you have suggestions for us?
We were,
Anything?
we were thinking fancy, right?
We're gonna fancy feast with Becca and Carl, but not the cat food. Not the cat food.
Like,
Feeling fancy is probably better than fancy feast, no? Meow meow.
so what would we need? Like, it's a lot of little dishes.
Yeah, whatever. What do you like when you're thinking of a fancy bougie meal? What do you like to eat?
Fish.
Yeah,
Fish. Ooh, so a fish dish. And is there a particular kind of fish you like?
No?
No?
Let's think.
Beer batter is actually pretty easy with haddock or a white fish.
You're bad.
Beer batter with fish and chips.
And
Well,
deep
we-
fried for fish and chips.
Well,
Okay,
we
fish
could,
and chips.
We could ditch the fancy and let's just make tasty fish and chips.
I'm into it.
Yeah.
Fish and chips it is.
Yep, I'll wrap them in newspaper.
Yeah,
Just-
wrap them in newspaper.
'cause
I'll
that's
dress
what
up
you
like a
do.
sailor. It'll be amazing. We'll be pirates next week. I'm into
You know
it.
what, I'm happy. And we can make fries from scratch. I think we should.
100%.
We'll do everything
Twice
from
baked?
scratch.
Oh yes, or we can fry
Twice.
them. Yeah.
Oh.
Twice baked or
Or
twice
sweet
fried.
potato fries.
Yeah.
Sweet potato fries? They want sweet potato fries.
Okay, not my favorite, but I'll make them.
Sweet potato fries it is.
Oh, no. Your choice.
That's
Okay,
definitely.
So where we
No,
go?
this is honestly the best part about this show, and what we love about it is that you all give so much great feedback, and so it really helps us out, because the whole point of our program is honestly to engage everyone and do things that you all want to see. So
I like fish and chips. That's a
Yeah.
good one. Thank you for the
it's
suggestion.
an awesome suggestion, and it makes us feel like, you know what, when you make suggestions and you're able to give us feedback and input, it makes us feel like we're together again, and such an important part of our community, and it's great to have the suggestions. So thank you. Yeah. Yeah, we miss you all so much. We're on the up and ups. We cannot wait to see you in person again. And thank you for today. We will definitely put a picture in the newsletter.
Yeah.
And happy baking.
Yep. And I'm gonna have a nice glass of buttermilk.
Yeah, he's gonna have a glass of buttermilk
Somebody
and
has
pass
to
out.
drink it.
Yeah. Something's gonna happen with that. But we love you. And we'll see you again next week, okay?
Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Bye, guys.